if I don't start within 10 minutes, then it's all over my ass. And then Facebook ends up deleting it from the page. All right, let me open this in another YouTube. Mute the sucker. Oh, it already is muted. Sweet. All right. All right. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Oh, man, I hate the design of this Facebook. Jeez. It's like my mouse cursor and the page go in like opposite directions on Facebook, and then I'm constantly following and unfollowing my own page.
That sounds unfortunate.
Yeah, very much so. It's ridiculous. Yeah, whenever I do these streams, these broadcasts, oh, what the?
What's going on now?
Facebook. I don't know if I didn't wait long. All right, hold on. Indiegogo. Let's refresh. Yeah, it's a valid page. What the heck? Did I do a...
Oh my God, all your Indiegogos.
I think what the problem is that part of the URL got cut off when I did a copy paste.
Uh-oh.
Shoot. Let's just start fresh.
Okay.
All right. Boom. What the frick?
Walking in the free world.
Alright, that makes no sense. Why is it doing this to me? While I'm trying to figure out these technical difficulties, thanks for joining WyzGyz Entertainment. This is your host, Wyman. We are joined by our special guest, Buddy Lord. How's it going?
It's going all right, man. I'm just chilling, trying to, keep from being besieged by fruit flies lately.
Oh dear, I hate fruit flies. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I bought a whole bunch of fruit from Costco, and all of a sudden, like, they've come with it, and I'm like, God damn it.
Shoot. Now, is it one of those things where fruit flies, like, they lay their eggs on the fruit and then, while it's being picked or whatever on the farms, and then it gets...
Yeah, and then you bring it in your house, and they like germinate, and then they're there. You keep your fruit outside, and it's like, so.
Oh, man, that sucks. I hate when that happens.
It's not cool, man. It's not cool.
Not at all. Not at all. Excuse me. Now the URL is working properly. Now that I
glad to hear it.
Fresh. And yeah, for a second I thought I was sharing this whole browser, so that's good I'm not.
Yeah.
And let's see here. A couple more things real quick. Doobie. And then we'll get going. Let's see. Looks like you're at 5,025 USD.
Yeah, we've gotten a little bit in the past few days, which is good. Thank you, everybody.
116 backers. You're at 1,005% of the $500 fixed goal, and you got 13 days left of funding.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure you mentioned this maybe multiple times to me already, but are you in the first 30 or second 30 of funding?
It's in the second 30.
All right.
This will be the last 13 days. I mean, I'm going to go in demand. We're going to go in demand for about 2 months and then print the book. So.
Oh, all right. Right on. Cool. Yeah. So I definitely think it should be in demand as well. Let's see. I think I got copyright struck for... It doesn't matter if it happens again. For the music on this, let's watch this. It's worth it. Sweet.
Yep. So bad. We got another video coming soon from Ryan from Ascension Videos, but we're working on the art and everything else for that first. Yep. Xevious released. Oh, sorry about that. I got some of that bubble wrap beneath my chair. Sound like a gun going off, right? But yeah, Xevious released what we're gonna a landscape of a very important part of the story, which are these things called Uruku, which basically they're like the male counterparts for the children of Yggdrasil.
All right.
You know, you have like the women who are like Nikki, they're the guardians, Yggdrasil's guardians, and then you have these trees which kind of protect the women. They protect the witches, and they protect, like, you know, different areas, and it becomes like a sylvan glade basically. And the sylvan glade is sort of, that's the home for the witches. And what ends up happening is these trees begin to die in our world, and that's what begins to awaken the eyes of the sleeping gods. So that is one of the major aspects, and Ryan wanted to focus on that, and he wanted a landscape picture, so I had Xevious paint one up. If you want, here, I'll share my screen. And it's you can see it right here.
Oh, wow.
You see if I can't. There you go.
Ooh. Cool. Now, is this a finished piece, or is it?
Yeah, this is finished. This is finished. This is, I mean, it's almost like a Monet, man.
Yeah.
I mean, look, he just kind of did brush strokes until it worked, you know, and then he changed the gradient of Sins of the Fae to work with it, to advertise it. But you kind of pull it out. I've showed this to people and they're like, oh my God, the colors are horrific. Are the colors really horrific on that? That's not a comic page, people. That's art.
That's pretty cool. I like it.
And if you get in close, you can see, like, here, and you see these different specks of color, because the tree is supposed to be able to bear any fruit or plant from its branches. So you can see he put like roses, ginkgo biloba. He put like apples and strawberry. That's the thing, is like, you see up here, they're looking up, they're looking at food.
Right.
And these are two like baby Ferax. There are these, you see this extra leg here. These are like 6-legged baby Komodo dragon looking things. Oh. Their eyes eventually become rainbow colored.
Ooh.
Yeah, you could see that. I think kind of see it here. It's hard to see here. You'd have to go to the page. But if you look at this one, this is a bigger one. All right. And it's got a rainbow colored iris. And it's really, really well done. But yeah, so, you know, this is going to be the first picture you see when you listen to Ryan's video, most likely. And like I said, I mean, this isn't a comic book page.
Right.
You know, this is, like I said, this is like a Monet or a Monet. I mean, this is like, he just, you know, you just kind of use the energy of a paintbrush until it works.
Do you know how long it took him to paint?
3 days. I said, I need this. He said, okay, I'm on it. 3 days later, he gave me this. Wow. I mean, I think that's beautiful.
So was it one of those things where you just gave him the general idea of, all right, here's what I'm looking for, here's what I'm trying to convey, and then
No, I had a very specific image. I have a description where this is basically a in Charleston we have one called an angel oak. There's one in Texas. They're called spider oaks, and they're just these like very these kind of gnarled branches like spider limbs just sort of emit and grow off of a central trunk. And the whole idea is if you look at the top of this, doesn't that and then you think as above so below, because these trees their roots grow the same way as their branches do. And that's what makes a sylvan glade. Any land that those roots grow every day, any land over that becomes the sylvan glade.
What a trip!
Yeah, so and then and one of the ways that it does that it protects people and it works for them is that normally witches, like in my world, I call them maidens. Actually, it's Yggdrasil's maidens. They rip their energy from the earth itself, and they can kill something if they pull too much. But the deal is that any of the land that grows in these sylvan glades has a chance to become a remnant. Like you can have a remnant daisy or a remnant branch or a remnant tree, and basically it gathers the same color. It becomes this like lustrous silver, and more or less what happens is it has a magical energy all its own, an anima is what I call it. And they can, it replenishes every day. So they can use it. It'll kind of wilt, right? But then the next day it'll regrow.
Huh.
And so that way they can use that forest for, to do things that normally somebody wouldn't be able to do without tearing the land apart. They can use their magic within those confines and not, destroy the land. So it's a big part of the story. But as these die, their protection fades. And as their protection fades, so do Yggdrasil's maidens. And that's part of the story. There's only one left, Nikki. And she was never trained.
Huh. Wow. And, wow. Now, all right.
I don't know. Did I tongue tie you?
I'm a little speechless. the tree, there's only one of them, isn't there?
There's only one of them left, yeah. And what happened is I mean, that's part of the story, is that she stole it from her coven and she took it to her world where she fell in love with Owen, and not her, this is Rowena. And Nikki took that, and this is that tree. This is her Uruku that is in her world. And that's why it looks even more magical than it normally would. It's a magical world.
Yeah, for sure.
This is an extremely magical world, and it's a Fey realm, and it lives on anima. And you can kind of see. I mean, it's just he's got like all these wispy colors around. It's got a brilliant aura of just energy and magic all around it. But anyways, yeah, like her husband tricked her into taking the seed because he knew that she needed it to protect herself, that she needed it to protect, what was coming. And so and so she did. And so it becomes this tree, but then there's a price for that. Her happily ever after is met, and she has her kids and everything. But the price for that is that her coven is destroyed. And they are enslaved and destroyed, and now these gods are awakening, and they know the threat that she and her family have, so they basically mark them or condemn them to death, and that's the story. A family condemned as sins of the Fae must defy waking gods who want them dead and fight back.
Oh man!
So you've got. Let me go back to the basic story here. This is where Nikki, what she's trading, like when you've seen the page where she gets the rifle from Granny, it becomes the dragon. This is her accepting her fate to become the guardian, to become Earth's guardian, Yggdrasil's maiden, a shield maiden of Yggdrasil itself. So,
right.
you know, trial by fire. And you see, there's that beautiful picture again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And see, this is when she accepts. She begins to learn the words of Odin to become, the Shield Maiden of Yggdrasil. And then this is another character named CJ. CJ is a vampire. I call it a vampire, my version of King Arthur. That's you can call him Vampire Knight. I don't know, whatever you want. He's got a sordid past, huh?
That's interesting. A vampire. The concept of a vampire knight.
Yeah, well, he is he's just a black dude. Like, he was a black guy that went into he volunteered and was drafted. He went into World War II because there's a lot of those events that still happen. And so he went to World War II as a medic. And he learned while he was trying to be a medic and not trying to hurt anybody that he is actually the greatest assassin that ever lived. That he just somebody came up behind him while he was trying to help somebody, and they pulled a gun on him, and he turned around, and before he even blinked, they were bleeding and dead on the ground, and he had a bloody knife in his hand.
Huh.
And he wasn't sure what happened, and what he comes to realize is that he's just really good at killing people. He doesn't want to be, but he is. So, and the reason why is because he has a dragon named Artorias that is a dragon spirit that's trapped within his body. And Artorias is one of the 5 Pendragons, which in my world are basically these 5 really powerful dragons decided to protect humanity when all the other dragons left.
All right.
And out of the 5, only 2 remain. One is Khalidbold. That's this one. That's Nikki's dragon. The other houses itself in a human soul every generation. Thus, the king that never sleeps, King Arthur.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Brennan Bethal, Timeless King, whatever you want to call him. So that is how I kind of reconcile the idea of King Arthur. So he is King Arthur, but the problem is he should be dead. And so the dragon's mad because it can't leave his body because he's a vampire.
Damn.
And he wants to die as well because, he's living with PTSD and a lot of other issues, a lot of other major issues. And what happens is he ends up through a magical confluence with this family, with Nikki and her family. And, he's basically, he thinks of himself like a grandfather because that's about what age he is, right?
All right.
And he's like, these are my grandkids. And then he thinks this is the only family he's ever going to have because of what he is. He thinks he's a monster. He drinks blood. He lives in the darkness. I mean, who would ever want him, right? So he's a pretty depressed guy, actually. But he's got, that means he's got a lot of rage. And so when these waking gods and their minions threaten his only family, well, he's just not going to let that happen. So this is one of the hounds, the Airlids, which are these sort of mutated versions of a different hound that can smell magic. And so they, this other side, this other group that is coming for the family uses these hounds to seek them out in any world they go to so they can't run. And so he's facing off against one of them, and you can see it's kind of torn him up,
Yeah.
And, so he's like round 2, let's go.
Are you able to do you have this up in a browser or do you have it in an image viewer?
This is on a browser.
Okay. I was wondering if you might be able to zoom in, make the whole image large. Oh, there you go. All right, cool. Right on.
Like I said, he's torn up a little bit. He says round 2, let's go. And then he's got remember the magical words, like he has them too.
Uh-huh.
And we're like, oh well, I thought those were words of Odin. Why does he have them? Well, you'll have to figure that out. Obviously it's because he's got the dragon in him, but and so I actually wanted to do a bit of a different scene here because I wanted to show that he couldn't take it on all fours, so he had to get it off off its off its center of gravity basically, so it knocks it up. But we couldn't make that work in just a few pages. So we're probably gonna, it might be in the main comic. The thing is like this portion of the story is a dream.
Okay.
But we're showing it instead of telling it. So I needed it to go quick though, you know what I mean? I couldn't like add 3-4 pages of fighting.
Right. Yeah. You want to show and not so much tell.
Exactly.
You don't want pages upon pages upon pages of dialogue.
Exactly. And the whole idea here was that he's trying to get away from this thing because, it's already like he's taking it on, it's beating him down, it's beating him a little bit, right? He's like, come and get it. And then if you like you notice he's not killing it here, he's staking it. He's staking it to a tree and leaving it there. He doesn't think it's dead, but he doesn't have time for it. He's got to go. The girls are here and they're bleeding out in this like iron bog. And he's like, I've got to get to the girls. I don't care about this thing.
Sweet.
Yeah. And then we have, I guess I can make this big too. This is our villain, Rowena.
Yeah, this is so cool. I like her design.
Yeah. Rowena is our Darth Vader. Rowena is going to become, or is in the series, you're going to hate her and you're going to love her. That's what I'll say. You're going to hate her and you're going to love her. But there's so much art. There was so much like beauty to what Xevious put in here. So much design that like most people are going to miss it unless you tell them. Like she's a combination of 2 or 3 different myths. One of those myths is a red cap. You ever heard of that?
I don't think so.
A red cap is like it's like a weird leprechaun, okay, that haunts old castles, and when humans come near the castle, it lures them in, right, with like song and just whispers and stuff, and then when they come in, it kills them. It crushes their head with a rock, and then it dips their own hat in the blood of a human. And that's a red cap. So I took that a step further. She doesn't dip her hat in blood. She dips her cuirass in blood, her armor.
Oh, wow.
So every time she kills somebody, you can see like, I have all this blood around.
Yeah.
She sort of like absorbs their blood. She ensanguinates them, and it empowers her a little bit. The other myth that she's in my world, nymphs and succubi are the same thing. It's just a decision. Like a nymph and a succubi both like drain emotion from someone, but a succubi kills them. They take it all the way and kill that person.
The succubi, they absorb blood, don't they? Or
well, they absorb emotions.
Emotions. Oh,
yeah. Like they're like have sex with you and drain your lust and turn your lust into like almost like an ensanguination of your spirit itself. And she'll do that. She'll do that to kill you.
Damn.
And so what we have here though is that normally like a succubi only does it against humans. This wing, her wing is upside down because it's sort of like and it's not a wing, it's a cloak. But she wears it that way because she's wearing it on purpose. To be this way because it's like an upside down flag. She's defying her own people. She hates her own people as well.
Mm.
And then she hates the humans and the Fae. She hates them all. She's very indiscriminate. She hates everybody equally. And then
you learn about how she got there in the book, of course, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, as you read, I mean, it's going to be later, but
right.
Like I said, this is a 5 manuscript series with all different kinds. I mean, there's a lot of like depth and everything. So to cover it in one comic book, you're just not going to find it. But we wanted to show some cool stuff.
Yeah, seriously.
So you've got this, and then the last thing that she is she's a piper. Rowena Piper Pennington, that's her name. And the Pipers are a guild of magical assassins that use music. So, and if you look right here, I don't know if I want to make this large because this might very well be pixelated. No, it's not too bad actually. There you go.
Pretty good.
You can see the rainbow in his eyes now.
Oh, all right. Gotcha.
And then this is her, and as you see, there's music playing. And the music, if you look at these guys' eyes, it's the same color because she's controlling them.
Oh, wow. That's detail. That is definitely attention to detail.
So this will be a 2-page spread. He's releasing it in little vignettes. And then when we're done, we'll release the whole thing. And so that's going to be really beautiful. But this is our main villain, our Darth Vader. Her name is, like I said, Rowena. And as you can see here, she's, she's literally like, what she's doing here is she's sending all these troops to kill her kids.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, what's going on?
So how do you mean that Xevious is going to release it in several vignettes?
Well, this is a part of a 2-page spread, and what he does is he crops just this angle that he wants, and then shows it to you.
Oh,
that's why I've gotten some people that are like, the perspectives are way off and the textures are weird. Well, that's because you're looking at this at a super zoomed in angle, and it's a cropped picture of it. So it's not, it's not the entire page. We just wanted you to get an idea of the sort of things that exist. I mean, you look at this, you've got the spectral dragon hanging out here. There's Nikki's foot up here. There's this Pharax that is obviously chained to something. You don't know what yet. And it's, yelling at this Pegasus that's holding Rowena. So.
Yeah. That's cool.
So there's a lot, we have a lot going on. I don't know, this isn't like a single world, it's not one place there's the world of the dead. This is a place called Airly Cove, which is like a huge amethyst geode bookended by these tall 40 to 50 foot marble white towers, and there is, there's also places that you will recognize that are in the United States, actually. They're in the actual world. Oh. And then there's other worlds. There's 7, there are literally other than just the Amber Isles, which is where the volcanic island Padoris is, where the girls are and everything. There are 6 other worlds, 7 including Earth. So it's almost like going to space.
All right.
You know what I mean? There are just multitude of creatures and planets and different atmospheres and everything. So it's like I've had a couple of people on the other side that are like, the color is horrific, the textures are bad. I mean, I don't see that, but okay.
Interesting.
They said the coloring was the worst they'd ever seen.
What?
That's what he said. I was like, okay.
Okay, that's odd. I mean, I really like it.
Man, all feedback is welcome.
Yeah, sure.
But again, you're looking at something. I mean, we're looking at something that is super. You can see the Amora here. Because we're looking at it at such a zoomed in angle.
Yeah.
You're not gonna see this on the page.
Mm-hmm. Everything that. When it's zoomed in, it's one thing, and it's a certain resolution, but then when it's reduced or whatever, it gets sharper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it just looks different. I could go in a John Gallagher, $10,000 painting, and when you look at super zoomed in angle, it looks all messed up. The lines look weird. and out of place. But when you look at it the way it's supposed to be seen, it's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I mean that's but that's what I was told was that the colors are horrific. And this is supposed to be surreal. This is happening in a world with a red sun. There's magic. So you can see, like, look how red everything is behind him.
Right.
This is a red sunned world, and he's fighting in an iron bog. So those actually exist, by the way. They happen when there are water sources near volcanic rock.
An iron bog, B-O-G?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's where it's like a regular bog, right? Where you have like a green belt, but the green belt is formed where there's high deposit of iron because you're near a volcano or something like that, or like a volcano tunnel. And so it's part of the story that, like, one of the girls, like, she can't help herself and she turns into this like weird manifested transformative beast, and she's killing her own sister. So her big sister drags her to this iron bog because iron stops both their powers from working.
Mm-hmm.
So, but when she does it, like, her sister, is reduced to her natural state, and she's like, she fought one of these. So she's bleeding and cut up and torn up from it. Right. And so she's bleeding and dying right now. And that's why he's like, I don't have time to mess with you. I'm just, I'm going to stake you to this tree and leave and do a hero pose.
We probably went over this already, but down where the purple glow is,
right here,
it's got writing. Is this based off a specific?
Yeah, it's the runic decoder that we created.
Oh yeah. You literally created
yeah, we have a runic language out of Icelandic, Viking, and Klingon, I believe he said.
That must have taken a lot of work.
I think it only took him like 2 or 3 days. He just knocked it out.
Talk about talented.
So we created like a runic language based on those, and then what we're gonna do is we already have the bookmarks made, so that people are gonna be able to look at that, and we made that goal, so that's cool. And what we're gonna do is come in here and in like a white with black lettering, so it's really simple, put in the rune beneath it so that people can follow along if they want.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And when you create a runic alphabet, does it equate 1-to-1 with the regular alphabet, A through Z?
Yeah, we were going to make it equivalent to the Norwegian alphabet, which is actually A through Z plus A, E, U, which is, like, they have 3 other letters.
Oh, okay.
But we were like, no, that's too much work. We're not doing
that. Excuse me. Welcome, King KDI. They're asking, is there a translator for the language?
Yes. Yeah, that is what I said. We have it's a runic decoder bookmark. It's a chrome bookmark with red foil that you can follow along and read the language if you want. Like, again, here she's shouting burn is what she's using here.
That is so cool. It's going to have red foil, did you say?
Yeah, it's let me see. Like, I don't want to dox myself, so let me stop sharing for a moment, and I'll pull it up, and then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Give me just 1 second.
Yeah.
I can send it to myself, and then I'll pull it up on my Twitter, but I don't want to.
All right on. Perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm. So that you can get a good look at it. Okay. Almost got it.
Yep. Yeah, this kind of thing adds another element of fun, and it makes it interactive, the whole experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want to do. Okay, here we go. And I will share my screen again. There you go. See?
Oh, neat. So
So we're gonna make it's gonna be nice and shiny.
Sweet.
And that's going to come with every order, so that if you want, you can follow along with the magical language and you can see what they're saying. Sometimes it's just mundane, but it's not. The whole point is it's not really that the words itself, it's them. You know, so it's like whatever they say just manifests itself in this special way. Like there's one moment where Nikki where Rowena threatens her kids. She's like, after I kill you, I'm going after your kids. And she said, over my dead body. And she speaks in this language.
Ah. Man, that is brilliant. Coming up with your own runic language. That's like hard work and dedication for sure.
I mean, that's what we wanted to put in this book. Again, this is like another whole thing. This is like the world of the dead. So you kind of see there's a different sort of atmosphere to this. And there are these creatures called ghouls, and they sort of form and make bigger ones of themselves. And this guy's throwing one.
Sweet. Dang. Here's a good question. Oh, yeah. Let me see here. Oh, hail. Doing good, thanks. King KDI says, excellent. Question here. Every physical order comes with the...
every physical order.
Wondering if it'll be included.
I might add it on if you want it, I'll put it on as an add-on for like just a couple bucks, so that if you get the digital, you can get it as well.
Otherwise, the digital copy is just that.
Because the difference is that I'd have to send it, and so it'd be the postage,
right.
Which wouldn't. I mean, it's not going to be horrible. I mean, if you just want, I would be more than happy if you've purchased the digital copy, and you're like, hey, I want to follow along. I can send the file to you, and you could have it.
Oh, like a digital version of the bookmark.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm more than happy to do that, man. I want to work with the customers. I don't want to make it hard on them. I know it's a hard time. If all you want's the digital copy, I'm happy you want it. And if you want to follow along that magical language, we'll make it work.
Yeah.
So that's basically what we've been working on, lately, like I said. And that gives you some idea of like Xevious, you bought the 12x12 canvas. That gives you an idea of what he's capable of.
Yeah. Really sweet. Let's see here. So let me, I'll stop sharing yours, and then we'll go through the campaign again here.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
All right. Yeah, I mean, every time I come check out your campaign, it's like I'm like marveling at the colors, how vibrant they are, the artwork.
Like I said, I got told today that it was the art or the coloring was some of the most horrific that they had ever seen. I was like, okay.
Yeah, people come from different perspectives, and it's like, I mean, I personally don't see what they're seeing. We're all different, but again, this is one of my favorite images here.
Yeah, everybody has loved that one. What's funny is, I mean, like I said, that's just a recoloring of one of the pages that we have in the book, but we thought it was so great because what we wanted was a cover that made people say, hey, something's happening right here, and I want to know what's happening and what happens after.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And the release of this is pretty darn cool. These creatures here, was this part of your description as Xevious, saying I need these two creatures looking up at the tree, at the food.
No. He asked me for animals, and I said, well, I mean, the Ferrax are there. That's their home. There's Kieran. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Kieran. He was going to paint one of those. He might still before we release it fully to the public. Kieran is like a dragon horse.
The dragon horse.
Yeah, like the best thing. Okay, where the images come from is you know how like in England you have the lion
Oh, on the coat of arms.
not on the coat of arms, but you sort of land statues at the bottom of a base of stairs on each side.
Oh, okay, all right.
In Japan, they have a version of those, but they're like dragon horses, and those are Kirin. They're a mythological creature. You know, that was the whole idea of Sins of the Fae, was that I could be able to work with any demographic mythological origin I wanted to. So, you know, yeah, there were like these. He was going to draw like a Kirin. I don't know, but he didn't get to it. There's also these birds called Quiranians, which are four-feathered birds. And so, you know, he drew a couple of those in there, but you got to get really in there to see them. They're kind of silhouette in the back here. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like detail and all kinds of stuff. Like the deeper you want to go into it, you know. But did I ask him? I mean, I had a description, which is from the story. Let's see here.
I'm going to read this comment from King KDI.
Yeah, sure.
It's not really a quote-unquote hard time. I just have a hard fixed limit of how much I'll spend on shipping and handling per month. Digital allows me to circumvent that.
Yeah, no, man. That's perfectly fair. Like I said, if you know, if I can help you out by you want digital and I can help you out because you would like the bookmark, I'm more than happy to do
that. King KDI adds mythological creatures. So, like the ancient Greeks have had?
Yeah. I mean, there you know, like, I mean, you have the nymph that's there, but it's through my lens. It's not through the Greek lens. It's not through what anybody else has made. Everything is kind of put through my own, I don't know, version of what it could be, but using the sort of canonical route, I guess, like use it. Like, okay, these are the ghouls, you know. I showed you like the ghouls earlier. Well, the ghouls are kind of based on like the undead ghoul that you would see in like D&D or like a horror movie or something. But the way that I've described them is they're like the police of the undead, and they have a covenant. If you know, as the living, you can visit the dead, but you can't speak there. There's no language in the world of the dead but the dead. So if you speak, then they wake. And when they wake up, they take whatever masses around them and create a body. So the reason, you know, I kind of like in my brain, like the reason why you see them as undead in our world is because most of the time when you're breaking that covenant, you're at a grave. And so the mass that they're taking is, you know, somebody's body.
Whoa.
No. Yeah. There's nothing mythological about that. It's just a hot chick. You know what's funny is every time I try to use that in an ad for Facebook, it like kicks it out.
Does it really?
Yeah, because the ad sees the skin and immediately knocks it out and says it's a nudity.
Oh my gosh, seriously?
Yeah, but that's like the most tame thing ever, right?
I know. Oh man, I don't know where the heck Facebook gets their definitions from, but it's definitely not the dictionary.
Right? That's not nudity for sure.
I mean, you can only imagine just how far worse the stuff they do allow is.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, there's where, you know, Granny is already dead, and she was the last she was the last maiden, so she kind of has to pass that on to Nikki, and Nikki really doesn't want it, but because her kids are in danger now, she has to take it.
Yeah. remember this part, but buddy, I'm kind of scared. What if I don't get it?
I mean, the book's pretty much already made. Like the only reason it actually hasn't been gone to, we haven't gotten proofs and everything, is because I changed a major portion of it. I didn't like when I'm notorious even in my writing from for like going back like a year after I've written something and rewriting like 2 or 3 chapters because I don't like it anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
Da Vinci said that great art is never finished; it's only abandoned. And I think writing is the same way. Like there's, you become a better writer, your descriptive ability improves, your understanding of diction or rhythm, and you read something you wrote a year ago and you're like, this is garbage.
But before you rewrite it, do you like keep somehow retain a copy of the original before you rewrite it?
Sometimes. Not all the time. I'm horrible about stuff like that. I was the guy in the video game that lost 70 hours of work,
Oh, man.
So sometimes I'll do that. Like when we were going through these pages, they looked really good. And then I said, you know what? These are too empty. I'm like, we need more story here. And so I added inserts, which added work to everybody.
Oh, man.
Because we had to create I would create like the story first, and then the story had to become panels. And as my director, like X had to come in and sort of mark out the panels within the pages, and then we had to give those dimensions to the artist so that the artist could create the picture for that panel. And then it had to come in, and X had to color it so that it fit everything that was already there.
Right.
So I'm not easy to work with, is what I'm saying. But you know what? I'm giving you the best product I can give you.
Yeah, and that does mean a lot to so many people. King KDI says, nice. I bet if I was a fat chick, it would be okay. Yeah, if it were. Though there are far more wrestling ads on Facebook, and they show more skin.
Right? I mean, it's pretty bad that it does that, but it does. Like if I get a couple of her more scantily clad images, they always knock it down. I've thought about making like a couple of like anime titty style images, because I mean, Nikki's a gorgeous woman. I could easily get Joe to draw her in a bikini, or like a nipple pic or something. But I'm like, I don't know. I think it would destroy the brand,
right?
Because the whole idea is that this is kind of a family sort of thing. I mean, it's a family that's defying the gods, and it's kind of a family story,
right?
If you want to share it with your 7-year-old, you can. There's no sex. There's not. There might be a couple of cuss words, but it's not many. Like maybe 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that I sort of wrote it is sort of like a treasure island, or a you know what I mean? Like it's not written for kids, but it's not written so that you can't share it with a kid either.
True. Yeah.
So we've been talking about that. Should we do that? Because let's face it, a lot of our demographic, right, is a bunch of guys.
Yeah. That's true too. I mean, facts are facts. It's kind of a matter of catering to the audience. Yeah.
So, like I said, so I mean, we've thought about that. And X and I were talking about last night. We're like, but it's kind of against the brand, like I said. So we're probably not going to do that, but it crossed our mind. I don't know. What do you think?
I am torn. I mean, in the end, I'm going to vote for stick with the brand.
Yeah. And
don't do anything to tarnish it.
Mm-hmm.
I also, based on what I've learned about the book from, your coming to the channel, and from what I read on the campaign, I think it would be totally out of character.
It would be. It would. It wouldn't really like. It would simply be a cash grab, really.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't fit any of the characters to be presented that way.
Exactly. Yeah. So I personally would, not do it. Is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, man, I get you. Like I was reading this book. There's a guy, Will, in Shay's. Shay. All right.
Oh yeah, Red Valkyrie.
Yeah, she does a prose thing on Sundays, and
Yeah.
the writer for Black Flag is named Will, and Will and I we have the strangest conversations because we're both extremely well read, and we both are very tangential in our thinking. So we will we'll compare the growth of prose to physics and collision and metaphysics, and then different parables of Aristotle or Plato,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody else is like, what are you idiots talking about?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I'm like the opposite. I'm not well read, but I do go on lots of tangents.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I mean, that's kind of what brought me where, yeah, exactly, Katie, it's an all ages book. And that's sort of what brought me, to this, is that Sins of the Fae can be anything you want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was reading a book that he Will had been like, he's like, you should read this F. Paul Wilson. And it's just so annoying me because the book is like, the first part of it is pure setup.
Okay.
And when you're a writer and you're reading setup, it's like reading VCR instructions.
Oh, so that exciting. All right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, yeah, I get it. This is going to count later. Go do something. And so far this guy's just horny. And I'm like, oh God, I get it. He's horny. He's going to be real horny for the girl he actually likes. I get it.
Now, did he refer you to that title because for the fun of it, or was he trying to make a point about a certain writer?
No, we were talking about I can't remember what we were talking about, but I had mentioned Lee Childs, and that I read Lee Childs and Jack Reacher to learn how to write certain amounts of drama and suspense. Mm. And he was like, "Oh, you need to read Repairman Jack. It's better." And I said, "Okay." So I'm reading it, and it's tough, man. It's tough. Like I said, this first part is like reading like VCR instructions, because it's so much setup, and for me it's just so telegraphed.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Maybe I am, I don't want to say like I'm some special, prodigy or something. Like I'm not smarter than anyone. I do read quite a bit, but it's very obvious to me that it is set up for a later payoff.
Right.
And it's just so boring. It's kind of like the nearest I can explain to it is Crichton writes the same way. You ever read a Michael Crichton book?
Actually, no, but he's the author of Jurassic Park, right?
Yep. Jurassic Park, Eaters of the Dead, The Sphere, Andromeda Strain. He always writes the same way. Congo, that was another one. His first 150 pages, pure science and build up. And then finally, the story begins.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that's the way this is being done, is that, it's like you learn that he does, Taekwondo on the top of his black tar roof and until he's sweaty, because later he'll do Taekwondo and you're like, oh, yeah, he knows Taekwondo. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Or like his ex-girlfriend is like, well, I had sex with this other guy and it, he couldn't bring me to an orgasm and it just wasn't that good, but I let him think it was. And Jack, like, oh, he was horrible. Okay, that's not true. He was really good. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You guys are gonna get together at some point and it's gonna be amazing. I get it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like as you described it, it's telegraphing it. You all
And
know enough of the gist of where they're getting at to know.
yeah, and you're just like, I get it. I understand. Jack Horny. Let's move on.
Yeah, exactly. Early info dump. Uh, Going back to the other comment, there's no need to sex up the comic. I mean, if it's an alt story that happens when they're near a beach or swimming pool, a bikini makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I would do if we did it. It would be like an ash can or just like a print, or something like that. But I just don't, there's not really a reason for it. I mean, she's a single mother. She doesn't really want to impress anybody right now. There's a whole reason, there's no relationship with, like, the daughters are of relationship age. One's 17, one's 15. And like one of the daughters does have like this crush, but in the book I made it a point where like there's a whole thing between her and her best friend where they're first talking and it's like boy crazy and everything. And then after that, you don't see it again. Why? Because she's being chased by things and bleeding and fighting for her life. And her crush just doesn't enter her mind.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's understandable. I mean, if you're constantly threatened, your life is constantly being threatened, then that's being boy crazy is probably the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what I was thinking. I'm not a girl, but survival. Right. I was going by the hierarchy of needs, right?
Yeah, I mean, it might be different if the boy she lusts after is involved in the adventure somehow, where he's an active participant and is relatable to her the threat against her.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's something similar to that there's something that happens like that much later, which is gonna break a lot of hearts if I ever get to write that in a comic book form. But we'll see how far along we go. Because I mean, I'm not gonna count my eggs before they're hatched. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna be like, well, everybody's gonna love this, and I'm just gonna make enough money to create every single one of these. If you like the project, if you like what I've been calling it now is like steampunk meets epic urban fantasy. It's a combination of both because the physics in all the fairy worlds is different. And so it doesn't work like it does on Earth, and it's more steampunk there. But then you do have like an epic urban fantasy kind of feel all over the place. So the closest, honestly, vision I can think of to what I've got is like a Final Fantasy VII or something.
Oh, all right.
Because you have sort of borrowed mythology through a different lens, and the world has grown around that, and everything is changed on a bunch of different ways, because the two main races obviously are Fae and human, but the Fae are like thousands of species, and and then the whole thing is there's this whole, I want to bring to home a sense of that there are like those kind of things like racism and elitism and xenophobia that exist because it exists in humanity, but I'm not putting it through the lens of our culture.
All right. Yeah. All right.
It's like, okay, these magic creatures come, and these magic creatures are affecting our history, our world, our culture. And there's some people that don't like that. They think that we'd be better without them.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done some horrible things. They've done some absolutely horrible things, because horrible things happen, because people can be horrible on both sides. But I don't, that's not something that's going to beat you over the head.
Right.
It's just there. It's in the background.
Yeah, it's organic. It's part of the story. You're not trying to force some agenda or belief system. You just go into the story like a virgin, I guess. And
like a virgin.
and then you delve into the world and accept it for what it is, and just get
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. This world's crazy, and it's honestly it's really hard to show you a glimpse of this world in 48 pages. You're not getting it. You're getting take a basketball and a pen, put a dot on the basketball with your pen. That's how much you're getting in these 48 pages of this world.
Man, I mean, it's like the Milky Way. Everyone imagines it's really vast, but then when you look at all the star charts, you realize that our solar system is just a pinpoint,
Mm-hmm.
and there are all these other solar systems far out.
Yeah, and I mean that's the thing is like somebody was it was Ryan. I was talking about something. There's a relationship that is between Nikki and Rowena, and is the reason why Rowena hates Nikki so much. And he's like, there's always another layer to this story. And I said, well, yeah, that's the way I wrote it. Because to have real hate, to have real love, to have anything that's like that, it's not a singular thing. It's not like a one-dimensional thing. It's a combination of things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there's one through point in the story, and that through point is the tagline. They're waking gods. These waking gods want the family dead. The family's got to fight back. And everything else is wrapped around that. But I can't say I didn't, I put out this line the other day. I said, I can't make people hate it. So you have to buy it because you think it's awesome. There were a couple people that hate it. So, that's good.
Huh, really?
Well, I mean, I got a couple SJWs to look at it, and they said they hated it, that it was horrific coloring, worst coloring they'd ever seen, worst art they'd ever seen.
Wait, did you actively seek out SJWs to get their opinion, or
no? No, but I will. I'll put my product against anybody. And so I said, I was in a chat, and I said, I'll put my design, my art, and my story against anyone. And they came in, and I put like 4 pictures up in the link, and they saw the pictures and said, this is the most horrific thing I've ever seen. You've got to be able to see this is objectively bad and terrible, right?
My goodness. Oh man. Do they not have a life? It's like, what the hell are they coming from with that kind of attitude? It's like, have they even looked at what their own peers put out?
Well, what's funny is, we as in Zevius and I, every once in a while, we talk to Gail Simone, because Gail Simone likes the book.
Oh my gosh! Wow, that's interesting.
Gail Simone has seen the cover and a few pages, and she said that coloring is awesome, and the storytelling is really good.
That's interesting.
And she's done that a couple of times. So it's kind of funny that one of their queens is like, hey, that's really good. But they're like, that's the most terrible thing I've ever seen.
Right. I wonder how they would react if they, saw. Well, I don't even know if they might have come to the realization that she likes your book.
I mentioned it and then I deleted it because I didn't want to get into that argument. You know what I mean? I didn't want to use. Yeah. I didn't want to pull her in and then like.
True.
Her maybe say no, and then I have to bring up, receipts, and then it's just dumb, and I'm like, I don't want to go into all that. I just want to say like, look, the book's this is the book. I think they were asking, he was like, is this from the same book? And I'm like, yeah, it's from the same book, but these are, you're talking about the textures and everything. I'm like, these are different worlds, different, different physics, different places. This is a fantasy book.
Right.
And I think, like, I do believe, like, Zevius's colors are different. He's got a different palette than most people. And he hasn't done comic books before, but he's done books and he's done art all his life. You know what I mean? And what's funny is I think this is some of his original stuff. I think his original stuff was more comic booky. And then as he's sort of like kind of feeling it a little bit, his palette just gets more and more wild.
Huh. What a trip.
But I don't know if I have a problem with that because, like I said, this is a fantasy book.
Yeah.
This happens across 8 different worlds, several different physics, time warping, anima as magic, all different kinds of combinations of metaphysical properties, So what are we to say that it can't look like that?
True. Yeah, I mean, fantasy is really big on my list. I'm really into fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
Sword and sorcery, magics.
I think, and I think a lot of people they think of sword and sorcery or fantasy, and they think because of one of the most recent additions is Game of Thrones, right? But Game of Thrones was kind of realistic, dark, gritty fantasy. This is epic urban fantasy meets steampunk. This is epic high fantasy, I would say.
Oh, all right. King KDI says, looks great. I'll back it towards the end of the month. Physical copy, then you'll be able to see why I have a hard limit of 100 on shipping and handling per month.
I got it, man.
Yeah, the coloring. I'm sorry, I'm coming to this comment late, so I'm not sure.
I think he means. I guess he means Xevious and the different color. Yeah, like a lot of people said the coloring was or not a lot, but like these couple of guys were like, this is objectively terrible and horrible, and and they were talking about the perspective, and I said, well, that's not in that one drawing, and I'm like, well, that's not a panel or a picture, that's a cropped vignette,
Yeah.
So you're not getting the perspective of the actual drawing there.
Exactly.
And then, as far as the texture, I'm like, again, this is a crop promo a lot of times. And if it's not a crop promo, this is a fantasy world.
Darn straight.
This is a fantasy world. So things are not always going to look like what you would normally, what you would see in, I don't know, like a Justice League or something. Even if you see like oh, well, you're looking at like they go to different planets and everything. Well, they go to different planets, but usually all the planets operate the same. They look different, but they pretty much operate the same. And if they don't, you get something like Valerian, which, I mean, this is kind of like Valerian had crazy colors. That was a DB from France,
Absolutely.
So. Yep, but I mean, that's basically it. Share it, and thank you, KDI. Like you said, you're going to buy. I really appreciate it, man. We appreciate all the buyers. I'm reaching out. It was kind of funny. Like I hadn't had a purchase in a while, so I opened my Facebook ad account back up, and I got a purchase within like an hour.
Oh wow! So
yeah,
do you get into the nitty gritty of like the Facebook or Google ads and like?
Some of it. I mean, it doesn't really work that great. But it does work. I mean, I got about $3,000 of my sales are from Facebook.
Damn.
From Facebook leads. So I can't complain too much.
Right.
But I mean, I like if I'm not incriminating anybody. I'm not trying to say that I'm not being supported or whatever. I appreciate all the fans. But I don't really have that many not that many CG people have purchased, and most of the people that have are like you, like promoters that have promoted me and saw it and were like, man, this is good, I'm getting it. And then I've gotten like a few purchases on the shows and that kind of stuff, but only about like 16, 17 maybe.
Man, that's a bummer.
I don't really have a lot of the CG or indie market right now. Most of it's come from like me doing ads and going out and finding stuff. Like I said, I think it's a bit different. It's not superhero. It's not, the coloring's a little out there. Even the story, even for a fantasy story, this is a little different. But that's just kind of how I roll.
Yeah, I mean, Definitely. You got to be you. You got to stay true to your passions. And
Hmm.
excuse me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no problem.
and I've been trying to. I don't know if it's helping much, but I'm trying to expand my promotion to occasionally dip into my personal Facebook account.
Hmm.
My business Facebook account has maybe 40 or 50 followers, whereas my personal has over 1,000. Um, you know, I guess there's a little more interest,
I mean,
but
it just depends on like who you're sharing with. I have my Facebook page, which is Blade Knight Productions, and I usually put everything through there. And I have a lot of like Facebook groups that I've joined, you know. And when I create a post, I just share, 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 share. I share like in all the different groups, and
yeah,
I don't get a ton of engagement or interaction. But I mean, I'm not a huge company. I'm not, I just started this
right.
6 7 months ago. I'm not, I'm not a 20-year veteran or 10-year veteran or anything of the industry. I'm just somebody that like wanted to make a book. So I'm happy with with my progress. I hope that it does even better.
Heck yeah,
um I would like to get to 10,000. And maybe, is that a lofty goal? Maybe. I think I can do it.
for sure.
you
Heck yeah,
know and then go in demand and make 15 by the time we print. Like, that's what I want. I want as many people as I can. Hopefully the number that it would be is about 350. I would love to be able to send 350 people an offset silver leaf foil, beautiful book, square bound, 48 page. That is not, a lot of these guys have like 32 pages and 16 pages of whatever. This is 48 pages of story, ladies and gentlemen. 48 beautiful pages of story that sets the groundwork for an epic adventure if you want to take it.
yeah. That's freaking cool. Yeah, I just kind of get swallowed up by the art, I, and the freaking story is like, how long did it take you to come up with all this? I mean, it's so deep and thorough that it's like you thought of every little aspect. You pulled from all these different.
I mean, it keeps growing, man. Like, some of it, I literally, like, some of it I kind of changed in the past few weeks because I found ideas. Like, I was reading, it's kind of funny. I'd always had the name, but I didn't quite understand why it worked so well. And then I realized it today, which was like Owen and his brothers and sisters, his mother and father, and Mab themselves are all highborn. And I'm like, okay, where did I've heard that? And I came up with it, and I'm like, they're sort of like the best they can be. And then I didn't realize I was sort of borrowing from the Indonesian idea of karma.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if you really look into, like, India and karma and everything, karma is sort of like this undeniable force that, excuse me, dependent upon how you use that in your life, is whether you're like reincarnated, lowborn or highborn. And if you're highborn, you're like on the ascendant trail. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, because that's what they are. They are the best forms of themselves they can be. So they are the highborn. So what they are is sort of a like a karmic absolute. you know and if you think of anima, right, as karma, then that's exactly what they are. And then then it kind of reinforces the idea of, well, what are the lowborn? Do the lowborn, like, do they want to be that way? Well, of course not. They're kind of the detritus. They're the sort of karmic refuse that's been thrown into the cosmos and coagulated somewhere. And those are the awakening gods.
Sweet, sweet, sweet.
I probably just lost everybody.
It's deep. I mean, it's so immersive. It's so, I mean, just when you think you've nailed down the universe, nailed down the world building, it's ever expanding. It's like they did in astronomy. They describe the universe as ever expanding. Like you can never reach the physical edge.
Well, that's what I want it to be, is that, I mean, it's always growing. It's always getting bigger. I mean, because there's always going to be more mythology I can find and learn and incorporate. And, you know, because of the way I built the world, I can put it in and then I can create a history for it. You know, and sometimes I do. Sometimes I write like, you know, a 10,000 word short story to describe one person in the world.
Indeed. Let's see how this looks on the other screen. All right, it looks decent.
Okay.
Let me see.
I have no idea what you're looking at. So.
Oh no, I was looking at how zoomed in I was on the campaign. I bounce back and forth because I have the campaigns typically up in one web browser, and I have my StreamYard in a totally other different browser.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
I was zooming in and out of your campaign because I wanted to look at some of the finer details.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think I'm too zoomed in, so I jump back to where the StreamYard is to confirm that everything's still within view. I forgot to read this one. King KDI says, SJWs won't care if Gail likes it or not. They'll just hate upon it for their own reasons. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they hate him because I was coming at him today. I you know, one guy said that we were a hate group, and I said the only reason we're a hate group is because you're not in it. You're not with us, so you hate us.
That's good.
You know, and then I don't know, some other dude said, what was it? It was something stupid. Oh, he said that like all of us, you know, that we like wish death upon every POC LGBT person that we see. And I'm like, you know what, dude, look on my timeline and tell me where that happens.
I mean,
because I don't care who writes what, as long as it's good.
Yeah.
You know, that was my thing. I remember I told you before, I was turned down to write this as a novel. And I remember thinking, like, how do you guys know who's black or white or, you know, green, made of cheese or whatever? Because, you know, in the past, the way that this has happened is you send in a query letter. You know, you send in like a note or an email. Well, how does somebody know what color you are through, you know, something that says a tagline, a couple of questions, and a thank you very much for looking at my story?
Yeah, exactly. That's funny stuff.
You know, but I mean, the reason they knew what color I was is because I was at a convention and I paid to see these, you know, an editor and a couple of agents.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, I remember like the look on their face when I came through the door, and the dude was like, oh, I'm like, what? Am I fatter than you thought? And he's like, no, he's like, you're a white guy. And I was like,
oh, damn.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, the nerve of these people. I mean, they're among the most racist and
oh yeah, man, like SJWs or I don't know, what do you, like maybe feminist Marxists or whatever you want to call them, are the most, in my opinion, they're the true white supremacists.
Yeah, they're not accepting of other cultures.
No, what's funny, right?
Yeah.
You know what was hilarious is the recent issue with that game Ghost of Tsushima or whatever, right?
Okay.
Like where the American company that built it sent it to Japan. Japan loved it. right? It's an American company about a Japanese incursion. The Japanese love it, but the Asian Americans hate it and call it appropriation. And they're mad because the Americans now have the actual Japanese backing of it. Because they can't call it appropriation if the Japanese like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's just that is just crazy. I mean,
Isn't that the stupidest thing?
It is.
I mean, like take that into context. They're mad because they can't claim to hate it based on it not representing the nation that it represents, because the nation it represents likes it.
Yeah. I'm just floored. It's like, really, people? Is oh jeez. Did you even think this through?
That's like, you know, a kid getting early mad because their mom bought them a candy bar and they're like, I was going to get mad at you because you didn't.
You ruined my master plan.
But now you purchased it. So, mom.
Exactly. Let's check out these tiers here, these perks. Now, and I know I'm like a broken record on my channel, but I thoroughly love when creators offer a featured tier on their Indiegogo campaign. I always view it as well, the way I interpret it, the featured tier is the best bang for your buck and enough to help you delve into the story and thoroughly experience the book and the story. Let's see here. So the feature tier in this case is the comic book, covers A and B.
Mm-hmm.
So you get both of these cool covers, which are definitely awesome. Next one is the digital copy. So that was in PDF, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's pretty much the standard for most. It's not for all digital comic books, but seems to be what most people are using. Mm-hmm. The beauty of PDF being what you see is what you get, or WYZGyz. Mm-hmm. So you got that. I wonder if people who pick up digital comics, I'm not one of them, so I wouldn't know. But I wonder if people who pick up digital comics ever, print off a hard copy, even if it's in black and white or something, just to, get a sense of what the physical copy might be, or if they just read and consume the digital copy and then maybe.
I have no idea. I mean, I guess like if you really wanted to read it, but you couldn't afford the postage and stuff,
yeah,
then you could do that. Yeah. I mean, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I can't really come up with.
Our digital may not work for that very well, though, because what we plan on doing for the digital copy is we're going to sort of break it up into what I talked about, like sort of cropped vignettes, so that you could read the story on a tablet or phone, like without manipulating the image and stuff a whole lot. That you can see it as it's presented on each little bit there. So that if that's what you want and that's how you're reading it, it's easy to read it that way.
Yeah, one of the things that's kept me from embracing digital comics is the interface. Mm-hmm. And for me, at least, it seems kind of clunky for most comic books I've tried reading.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to try to circumvent that. The Japanese manga, like, they're built to be read on a phone as much as they are in a manga. And so, that's one of the reasons why they're sort of segmented the way they are, why the panels are, you don't get a lot of 9 panel pages in manga. It's usually like 5.
Right.
Oh, wow. Hey, thanks, Fraga.
Holy. Frega boom. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Got that A cover. Hell yeah. Bless you, man. Bacon, bacon, bacon. I am.
Fragga on the mend.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Welcome back, by the way. Thanks for not dying on us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Backer 125. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. You're freaking awesome.
Yeah, dude. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I backed it as well. I'm trying to decide maybe if I get a chance and get some more money and thinking of backing it a second time.
You've already backed it twice, man. I appreciate it. You don't have to keep you don't have to keep feeding my dream. I completely appreciate it, though. I really do.
Fragaboon says, "My pleasure, dude. Man, I am honored to be in the presence of Mr. Frega himself."
Absolutely. Yeah. I talk to your writer all the time.
Yeah, this is freaking good stuff. I love the artwork. I love the story. It's so in depth. It's so thorough. I'm really big into details and stuff. So this kind of stuff, lights my fire in a sense.
Yeah, man. I mean, this story is as deep as you want to look.
Yeah.
I want to make it. I've really worked hard to make the visuals easy to follow. To make the storytelling is because comic book storytelling is different. Like if you say comic book storytelling, that doesn't mean like parsing the narrative. It means telling a story visually. And so I've worked really hard because my goal from the beginning of this was for you to be able to look at a page and tell what's happening before I put a single letter on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you might have been among the people who wrote, said this to me, that there, when it comes to doing comic books and stuff, you're trying to convey a story in every single image. And I think Dan Frega also mentioned that too. The goal in doing a good comic book is making every cell count.
Well, I want to make every like picture, every panel. I want to wow you. I want everything to be a payoff. Yeah. So I mean, I know that's a lofty goal, but that's my goal. I don't want a lazy panel. I don't want a lazy something. I want everything. I mean, the way that I write is like if it doesn't contribute to the plot, if it doesn't develop a character, then I kill it. It's called killing your darlings. And I've approached the narrative, the visual narrative, in the same way. This is my first comic book, so I'm probably not going to be perfect, but I'm going to get better.
Oh, sure, of course, absolutely. I mean, that's all you can hope for,
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to get better, and I'm going to get better every time. And eventually, will I be, a gaming? Who knows? Buy it and find out.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a matter of time. Just a matter of time. Where did it go? So we got the digital copy there.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got the Sins of the Fae first cover A. And that's the book alone. And then, actually, in terms of Rune translation, does this literally say the letter A? Is this literally just A?
Yes.
And then this is B?
Yes.
Okay.
He wanted to make it so that it somewhat resembled the English like derivative, so that so that you could kind of see it after a while, because our goal is to make it intrinsic, right? So that like after a while you don't need the bookmark, you know what it says.
Oh man, yeah, that's so cool. I guess it just connected finally in my head. So this is cover B, which I really like too.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got this awesome original paintings by WyzGyz. Let me see if I can carefully click on this without doxing myself. So it's a 12 by 12 ready to hang original acrylic on canvas. Acrylic on canvas. And you get a physical copy of the comic with your choice of cover.
Yep.
Freaking A. That is awesome. I mean, the chance to win original art from someone, from a creator, that is a win in my book.
Well, I mean, like I said, that's one of the reasons I put that tree up on there, because, I mean, he painted that, and you can kind of see what he's capable of. You just imagine that on a canvas, and I mean, that's, like I said, that's like a Monet, or any kind of art. That's just energy and color on a page until it feels and looks right.
Yeah. This is one of the newest things that Buddy showed us.
Yeah, it was funny because he's like, if I do this right, it's going to be gay.
If I do it right, it's going to be gay.
Yeah, he's like, if I do this right, it's going to be gay. And I'm like, yeah, it's not. It's not a bunch of dudes with guns jumping off a building.
Well, all right. Well, there's that. But yeah, I mean, it's wicked. You got the tree, which is very instrumental in the story. And then, like you said, you got those creatures looking up at the tree because it bears all types of fruit, anything imaginable.
Yeah, well, remember, like, this is the whole idea is that there is the world tree, which bears all worlds. That's Yggdrasil, and that's the major part of the story. These trees are Uruku. They're the male counterpart of that. They're like the male counterpart to the female counterpart, which are the Yggdrasil's maidens, the women, the witches that sort of, that are taken care of by the tree, because, it's, I'm Christian. There's some Christian elements sprinkled throughout everything. Okay. And people just have to get over it. But you have like the man taking care of the woman in a way.
Uh-huh.
But as the man begins to die, no one can take care of the woman, and she begins to die as well. Right. And that's one of the main cruxes of the story, is that, as this is happening, that opens up this pathway for the world to be ravaged.
Indeed. Yeah, I'm loving it.
You sound like the McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Whoa, I'm not trying to be commercial in fast.
I'm just saying. But, I was playing with messing around with Shay earlier. That song, old song, I Believe That Children Are Our Future.
Oh yeah, teach them well.
Yeah, I changed it to because like Shay, she has her show. She has all those people that and she's like, I'm trying to teach you the way, and I said, I believe the children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way.
She must have got a laugh out of that.
Yeah, she laughed. I think we should make a shirt.
Oh my gosh! Oh yeah, I bet she would upload it to her site, the Red Valkyrie merch page. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny. Is that what her fans are called? The Shadron?
I just came up with it today. It's kind of like catchy though.
Yeah, no doubt. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure if we got to it, but tell me again how. Yeah.
What?
I think you did tell me. How long is this in the making? I mean, have you been
for over 10 years?
Over 10 years. And it must, I mean, I know you still have to fulfill and everything. Oh, hell yeah. Welcome, Fade. Just got on B. Lord, you got a good voice.
Thanks, man. I did Blue Ribbon Society when I was I don't know if you guys know what that is.
I do not.
It's a state-run, usually like music competition, and it's for sight reading. So they usually give something like a foreign medley, and you have to sight read it, which is where you get the actual music sheet in front of you, and you have to sing it without ever seeing it before.
Oh.
They play one key, they go, boom, and you got to sing it. And so I did that, and I actually sang at I'm going to age myself a little bit here, but Opryland. I was one of the event singers, is what they call it, where they have the thematic event singer. Like you have like a '60s kind of thing, and then you have like 8 people on stage and they sing.
Oh, all right, all right.
I did that for 2 or 3 years.
Damn. So you hit the big time.
I don't know if that's big time, but I mean, I met some big time. Like I met Justin Timberlake because he was doing kind of the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, they were at the point where they were singing in malls during that time.
Okay.
It was kind of funny though, because like he and they would rent out strip clubs.
Strip clubs.
Yeah, they would rent strip clubs when they were like 16, 17.
Dang. Well,
that guy Lewis, what's his name? The dude that ran them. They would just, I mean, it was normal. They would just rent out a strip club, and that's where they would hang out before and after the concert.
Oh wow, jeez.
So I met Scott Stapp. God, I'm really aging myself, from Creed.
Oh, from Creed. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't really listen to a whole lot of Creed, but I'm familiar with the name.
Yeah. I'm ashamed to admit I did.
It's funny, since you mentioned mall tours, performing in malls. Did you meet people like Tiffany and Debbie Gibson?
No, they were before my time, but I met like the '90s version of them.
Oh, okay. So, all right.
Like Britney Spears, Justin Timberlake.
So
those kids and I were in the same circles.
Gotcha. So I'm aging myself even further than you are. Oh, good gracious. Oh man. You little whippersnappers. Get off my lawn.
Well,
let's go ahead and play this trailer again.
All right.
One final time. Sweet.
Yep, we're gonna have a couple of new trailers here pretty soon. Like I said, we got one from Ryan, and then X wants to make another one because the design of the character completely changed. So he wants to get in on that.
Oh yeah, and here's the glimpse of the new spread that's coming soon that you showed us earlier.
Yep. That is like I said, like a cropped vignette. I mean, it's like a quarter of the whole thing. There's like a bunch of dudes. You see the creatures in detail. There's a burning carriage. Nikki's in the air with a spectral dragon behind her. You can kind of see the beginnings of the spectral dragon there. And then, and she's standing basically, or like flying in between Rowena and the carriage, because the carriage carried her kids there. And like I said, Rune's after the kids, and, Nikki's like over my dead body.
Yeah, that's a cool shot. I can't wait to see what the rest of it looks like, man. And I really like the way this turned out.
Oh yeah, X knocked that out of the park. I was like, I need this design. He's like, when do you need it? I'm like, as soon as you can get it. The next day he had it. What's funny is Xevious is he's gonna get mad at me, but oh well. His like ex-wife is a flautist. Like she plays the flute for a famous band.
Oh wow.
And when I told him about this character, he's like, "So 10 years ago, you wrote about my wife."
Mm-hmm. The plot thickens.
You know, he was like, "Dude," he's like, "You realize this is like my wife." And I wrote another character that's another one of his wives. And I'm like, "Dude, I promise you, I didn't know you. I wrote these 5 and 10 years ago. I can show you the documents." You know.
He's like, "Show me the receipts." Prove it. Prove it.
But it's, I don't know, like I think sometimes there's a sort of beautiful serendipity in things. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that this is one of them. I mean, are X's colors like a comic book page? Mm-hmm. No, but I think it makes it a little bit different. And am I a comic book writer? No, but that makes it a little bit different. We're bringing, you know, all of our skills together and it's coalescing into this project. And I like to think that in the end, it's going to be for the better.
Yeah. It's a trip. It's everything, like you said, coming together. Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm excited about it. Sweet. All right. I think we shall. Let me see. Here we go. King KDI says, had to run a few uploads, a few second updates. We'll catch up. About digital copies, I don't ever print out the books. They travel on my tablet and phone. Nice. That's cool. Right on. Yeah, I mean, I know it's a stupid question. It's just one of the things that popped into my head that I figured I'd bring into fruition. I don't know why. It's just silly stupidity. It just, you know, like shower thoughts. You're busy doing one thing and then some weird idea pops in your head out of nowhere.
I mean, that happens to me all the time. You know, I had the weirdest dream today. I was so tired. Last night I was sick. I was throwing up. And, so it was difficult for me to go to sleep. And then I finally fell asleep. And then I woke up early because I had to take care of some stuff for work. Because it was, you know, it was payday. So like my employees had some stuff that had to be taken care of. Mm-hmm. And I did that. And then I went back to bed. And I had the weirdest dream. I dreamed I was like Blue Beetle.
Oh, really?
Like I dreamed I was like Ted Cord Blue Beetle. And I went down into down to Atlantis. Uh-huh. But there was like some sort of business arrangement between the US and Atlantis, but I was trying to sneak something in, right? So I'm like sneaking down to Atlantis in the Blue Beetle car or Blue Beetle jet, I don't know, whatever you call it. And I get in there and I start, you know, all the ambassadors are waving at me. Hey, Mr. Cord. Hey, Mr. Cord. And it's kind of, you know, my name's Lord Cord. It's not that different, right? So it's like, you know, hey, Mr. Cord. Hey, Mr. Cord. And then I get down and then there's like I like freak out and the ambassador for the US and, you know, and Atlantis is there. And I'm like, oh, crap. And he's like, so you filled out the necessary paperwork to get down here, right? And then I woke up.
Man. I'm not sure if we touched on this before or discussed this, but are you the type of dreamer who actively participates in, you know, you more or less kind of choose your own adventure and consciously
used to
interact with
the lucid dream. We might as well plug Lucid for like Lucent, right? Lucent?
Yeah, Lucent.
Lucent for Michael Bancroft. Looks like a great book. Everybody should pick that up. But lucid dream is, it's an overactive. It's like an overactive. I think it's id while you're sleeping, and it kind of pervades your REM, and you know goes because you have like your REM, but then you have a deeper sleep pattern. And if you interrupt that pattern, that's when you have like sleepwalking. They call it somnolent.
All right. Yeah.
And I didn't used to have a lucid somnolent wave, but recently I have. I've been able to kind of tell my dream what I was going to do, what I wanted to do. And it's been weird because like most of it, like, I don't know, last week I dreamed like I was in high school again, and I didn't, because I've never studied for a paper. I was the dude that had a 15,000 word paper. I did it the day before.
Oh man, you lucky bum.
Still got an A usually. Well, I got a B one time, but still got a pretty good grade on it because I've always been a good writer, so I've been able to break things down and everything pretty easily. But I was like, I woke up because in my head, like, I had a paper due and I hadn't even started on it, and it was it was due like then. Like the teacher was like, "Where is it?" I was like, "Ah!" And then like I was like all freaked out. I'm like, "Wait a minute, I'm not in school."
Oh,
yeah.
dang. Yeah, I was the one who, well, when it came to anything like history or economics or English, I had a tendency to just wait till the very last minute, and then I'd try and cram, and it never worked. I'd end up with like C's or D's. But when it came to things like math, I was pretty on top of it because I was.
See, like I was kind of the opposite. Like I was really good at philosophy, semantics, understanding of basic logic patterns, as they came from history or philosophy or social studies or that kind of thing, or people behavior. I've always understood behavior, which I think is one of the reasons I'm a good writer. But math and that kind of logic came a little bit. I'm not going to say I'm bad at it. I've done up to differential equations, so I'm not bad.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't. It doesn't come as easy. I have to work at math.
Yeah, the highest I went was pre-calc.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah. When did letters become a part of it? My friend actually works. Well, he worked for Fort Knox when they were open, but now he's a computer program engineer or senior programmer for some major company in Louisville. Nice. And he and I, he was one of those guys that like, when he was studying Cal 2, it was like dropping it was nothing to him. Like walking down the stairs. You just like get up, breathe, tumble down the stairs. That's about how he was for him to do Cal 2. For me, it was like pulling teeth. I was like, what is this? What I got to do with the Cal? What? Why? What is this? What is this doing? I don't derivative of what?
Yeah.
And he broke it down for me. And it was the weirdest thing because we had a kind of a weird rapport with one another where I could understand his logic through my philosophy, and he could understand my philosophy through his math, through his his logic. And I don't know, I learned a lot, and I like people like that challenge me in a way.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to math, I was always a big fan of things like trigonometry and geometry.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I like drawing pretty shapes. That's the thing I liked about physics. But the problem I had with physics is I wanted to spend more time drawing accurate-looking diagrams than I did actually solving the problems.
Physics is crazy because, especially when you get into like the whole idea of like Einstein and the whole Schrodinger idea. Is it this? Well, it is if you look, and people don't get that. It's because, they were trying to discover like, gravitons and light and everything. They're like, why does light work this way, but sound works that way? Is it a particle or is it a wave? Well, it's both. What does it depend on? If you look. Well, isn't that like really congruous to believing? Think about that. Like if you believe it, then yeah, it's there. If you don't, because if you don't believe it, then you don't look for it. And then you kind of break it down to, well, who else said that? Somebody else said that. Was 600 years ago in a book called The Metaphysics by Aristotle. He said that man is as blind to the truth as a bat is to the light of day. Okay, so what did he actually mean by that? Well, he knew what a bat was. He wasn't saying that it was that a man was just flat out blind to the truth. There was more to it than that. Why is a bat blind to the light of day? It's blind to the light of day not because it can't see in the day. It's because it doesn't want to.
Oh.
So why is man blind to truth? Because he doesn't look for it.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep. That's pretty trippy.
Sorry, that's my brain.
That's really cool. King KDI says shower thoughts can be good to look into. For me, I read a lot of security updates, and white papers tend to be PDFs in nature. Yep, that's true. And PPP PowerPoint presentations always start on a PC. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And see, I had a very, very, very short career in engineering, electrical engineering, and then I lucked out and got a job at Logitech, and then I learned about computers. I mean, I was using computers, but I learned about supporting computers, and that kind of changed my life. And I've been doing tech support for 17 years now. So it's like, you know, it's real fun. Where the hell am I going with this?
I don't know, man. It's your statement.
Tangents, I tell you. Tangents. I'm all over the place. But that's some really crazy roundabout way of saying I'm no fan of PowerPoint.
Okay. I would never have gotten that from where you started.
I know. Oh, I'm all over the place. Good gracious. Maybe it's because I haven't eaten dinner yet. Let's see. King KDI. Some people just get numbers or logic. Just push yourself. Yeah. The best thing about Einstein is the phrase, imagination is everything. Yeah.
Well, you know, I mean, again, I don't know. Like, I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent here. Like, I love that phrase too, and it is what's interesting about that is Karl Popper talks about it. You know, he was a philosopher and psychologist, and he talks about being intolerant of the intolerant, right? And he says that if we become, if we don't, we're not intolerant of the intolerant, which means tolerant. If we're not tolerant of things, if we don't allow things to be wrong, if we don't allow the bad and understand that it's bad, but move with it and become better from it, then we'll never grow and we'll stagnate and we'll decay, right? And that's what, like, Einstein, when he talks about imagination is everything, I mean, isn't that part of it? Like, that's the whole thing with science. That's one of the most beautiful parts about it, is it's okay to be wrong, because we learn more from our failures than we do our successes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, if we already knew it, then we're not learning anything. You know what I mean? And that's the whole crux of this, I don't know, the entire decay of civilization, whatever you call it, with, you know, the feminist Marxist movement, is that it's like, okay, you don't want any other thought except your own. Well, that means we don't go anywhere. You know, the age-old question, where do we go from here? Well, if it's up to them, nowhere.
Yeah.
So don't give in to their sins, and instead buy Sins of the Fae. Just saying.
There you go. Back this book. If you've already backed it, back it again. Back it once, twice, back it 3 times a lady. You deserve it.
That's right. You deserve to read a great book.
Yes, exactly. You gotta treat yourself to some nuggets of quality. And, you know, depending on what your belief system is, you only live once. So you might as well make the most of it and back the Sins of Fae.
That's right.
So I think we shall bring this to a close. Would you do the honors of sharing with the world, the current audience, as well as those watching on replay, how people can find you on social media?
Sure, man. You can reach me at the Buddy Lord. It is just like it sounds. And that's on Twitter. You can find me at Blade Knight, BladeNite.com. And you can purchase the book at sinsofthefae.com.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And you can find me on Twitter at WyzGyz Tweets, on Twitch at WyzGyz Twitches, and on YouTube under WyzGyz Entertainment. So please like, comment, and subscribe. Mark the bell for notifications, but don't forget to click on all notifications so you make sure you never miss a video or a stream. I wanted to extend. Oh, hold on. King KDI says, life is not a dress rehearsal. Thank you for the stream. Take care and have fun. Oh, and WyzGyz Entertainment, go eat something. Yeah. Jeez. You know what's weird? I can't think of having eaten. Oh, I guess before work earlier today, I stuffed my, wait, no. Yeah, before I left for work around 6:30 a.m., I did stuff a bunch of sliced turkey in my mouth. And then at work, I had a couple cups of sweet iced tea. But I haven't had anything since. Interesting. Except water. Yeah. And Fade says, see you later. Thank you all for joining us. Thanks for everyone in the audience, if you will. I thank everyone in advance for anyone who watches on replay. Thanks to our very special guest, Buddy Lord. Greatly appreciate you stopping by on your busy schedule.
Thanks for being invited.
I wish you all the success on Sins of the Fae, and I'll do what I can to further promote it because it's a worthy project. I like it a lot, and I'm digging the story.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. We are ending the broadcast.